guilt. Always works. Kino Reviews sends in $10, and this gets us to our second topic. We'll get back to the super chats after this and the X-Men talk. But regarding Morph and X-Men, non-binary means queer. This is a far-left political ideology. Queer is designed to abolish the gender binary and dismantle the nuclear family, both attacks on capitalism. So yeah, what Kino is referring to here is some of the hubbub that's surrounding the new X-Men trailer, because this dropped yesterday morning, and at first a lot of people got really excited because for the most part, as we were talking about earlier with the Fantastic Four, this is where I'm wary about that. We already have some proof with X-Men. We're going to get into that now. That don't judge a book by its cover, right, Andre?
Yeah, that's about right, because some things can look really, really cool and not be so cool after all.
Revelations.
I can judge it by Rogue's ass, and it's very lacking.
This discussion is going to depress me because I liked that trailer initially.
So did a lot of people. I mean, a lot of
people.
Literally the day before, they were saying, "Wow, this looks great. Wow, this looks optimistic." And the next day, I literally saw people post, "Fuck this!" Like literally. Like,
well, we've got so much to get into this, right? Like not just the morph stuff, but
see some. Let me address something real quick because I see this super chat. Why don't you just pull that Sonic Stance one up for 10?
Let me see if I can find it. Which one?
It's like just came through.
Oh, here we go. Sonic Stance. You want to read it? Go ahead.
People are already making up their minds about X-Men 97 because Morph isn't straight and Rogue's butt isn't huge like the meme. It's not a meme. Her butt she had a nice ass and tits in the show. It wasn't a meme. It was a real thing. She looked like a woman. Can we actually watch the show before judging its quality? Well, if it was an isolated case, I would say sure, but how much benefit of the doubt does Disney deserve at this point?
Zero.
Okay.
Well, and I think this conversation will break down the reason why you can't give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I mean, we have no choice but to see it when it comes out. I mean,
that's true. That's true. But as we
Storm looks off too. Look at her. She has like banana boobs.
That's just we're talking pedantic, nitpicky stuff. There's bigger problems.
I wish they would have just went straight up with the straight up mohawk. If you want to do it, fine. Just do the straight up mohawk. She had it in the 80s. No one cares about her mohawk. I actually like 80s Storm quite a bit.
Yeah, and Rogue is wearing the adult Depends, for leaking, urinary leak. That's
well, she has to because they took her butt away. So
that's right.
Got to be it's got to put it somewhere.
All the small stuff aside, the first thing that sticks out to me is that you have basically when you first announced this, you got everybody on board because it was supposed to be picking up where the old show left off, same style of animation. You even announced that all the living cast members were coming back. But there was an asterisk next to that they never even told us about until recently, where we learned that all those original cast members are recast as different characters.
Not all of them.
Except for one, which is Wolverine, just because he's a white guy. Otherwise, they changed him up for diversity. Okay, so what the fuck?
I think the guy who played Beast is still playing him. And
maybe that might be the other one. Yeah,
pretty sure he is. Like, a couple of them are still playing the main characters.
But if they were of any kind of different race, then they're not playing that character anymore.
Yeah, Jubilee specifically was we didn't. A Canadian actress playing Jubilee was a product of its time.
What?
Yeah, that's I believe the direct quote. They had to change it, because it's more appropriate that an Asian voice an Asian, which is so stupid. It's just the voice. This shit should not matter in animation. The best voice should get the role, no matter who the fuck it is.
Was Jubilee Asian?
Yeah, Jubilee's Asian.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but surprise, as the guy in Asia here, Asians have different accents, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, because you are our resident Asian on this panel.
And I went off about it last night, so I'm not going to go too deep into it here. But as somebody who's, has been an aspiring voice actor, like, this bothers me because, look, you got to, first of all, know the politics of how cartoons are made. Second of all, and Paul can back me up on this, it has to go through like the guild and all that kind of stuff to where, you only are allowed so many actors per show. And that's why they have a lot of times the voice actors will do multiple voices on a show, right? For that very reason. It's because of budgetary and other kind of constraints at the time, not because they're trying to like whitewash the cast or anything like that. In fact, you have many cases where it's the opposite, where you'll have, you know, a black person voice a white guy several times over. In fact, I think that's what happened here, is they moved the guy who did another voice over to Bishop because he was black. Like, what is the problem with it? Like, I don't understand this. And this started, I think, with the Simpsons and the stupid Apu thing. And that's where it really rooted. And it's like, where did we get into this world where voice actors couldn't do voice acting? Now, granted, you're not going to have somebody go out there and do some very racist, like, you know, voice unless you're Trey Parker, right? Like, that's just the joke. But in every other case, you're obviously not going to let some actor come out and do some very stereotypical accent. You're going to have them do a more respectable version of it. And I don't remember Jubilee having a stereotypical Asian accent of any kind.
No, she didn't. She sounds like she sounded like a 90s teenager. That was
and not only
that
that,
was
I
the
didn't
point.
even know Jubilee was Asian. So she was never drawn that way. Anyways,
I just don't understand this. It makes no sense to me.
No, I mean, there's no problem having an Asian actress doing Jubilee. I mean, who cares?
When you have the original
They've
actress
had the
right
original
there,
voice actress coming back. She's still in the show. She's just playing a new character.
I see. Yeah,
there's
that's
no
a bait
reason
and
that
switch to me.
all the characters should be voicing the characters they played in the 90s.
it's
Because the feed is that it's nostalgia, right? That's what it's going off of. And by the
Right.
way, that's become the Disney and Lucasfilm, you know, for that matter, and even Marvel, right? They get you with the nostalgia bait, right? So they say, oh, you know, the member berries, right? Do you remember, you know, and they push out some reference to, for example, the original trilogy in The Mandalorian, right? Common tactic, right? So X-Men, obviously X-Men 97, you know, one of its big takes is push out stuff that was good in the 90s that you remember from your childhood, except for they've now warped your childhood and made it non-binary.
Let me
On
pull
that
up some.
note-
I'm gonna pull up some comparisons here. Like, I want to show you what they did to Rogue, because Rogue, this shit is ridiculous, and it's every animated project now. Every animated project does this stuff. They give women the uniboob, where it looks like they just have one boob,
right.
or they have
So, hold
Goku's
on.
pecs. This doesn't happen in anime.
Andy
It's
Graham.
another reason why anime is just exploding.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't remove the femininity of a woman or her sexuality. Like, this is not Rogue. She has a uniboob here.
I mean, I don't know how far away that is being drawn, so I don't know.
I zoomed in on it.
Yeah, see,
But
that
then
one,
There's also this one. I mean, this is undeniable. And this isn't a meme. Her ass
that one's
looks like this all
undeniable.
the time.
Yes, that one's undeniable. The other one, I would kind of give them a
She's
mulligan
a
on, but-
long back with legs. That's what that is.
Yeah. Well, as I retweeted your tweet, I said, "Never forget what they took away from us." Right? Like, but on that note, let's get into the characters here, because there was a breakdown in, I believe this is Empire.
Notice Cyclops isn't in there. Or
Yeah,
Jean Grey.
Biclops is not in here. Or Jean
Like,
Grey.
he's gonna step down for some reason. I bet probably like He-Man, like they're gonna He-Man him out, like they did
kill
in
him
that.
off.
I don't think they're gonna kill him. I think him and Jean Grey are gonna go away with Cable, obviously,
Well, Jean's obviously
Cable.
pregnant.
which isn't how that happened. It was Madeline Pryor that had him in the comics, but I don't know if they're gonna explore that or not. Probably not, because the only thing they're fucking focused on is civil rights. They don't want to tell any other stories. Oh, X-Men always have to talk about civil rights now. Every X-Men story has to be about civil rights now. And they're all talentless. None of them can do it right. The stories like this existed back in the day, but they were done by people that actually had talent at writing. These people have no talent. They don't know how to do this in a subtle way that it actually works. And they used to put entertainment first if it had a message. It's the message first now.
It was
No
one of the
faith in
best
this shit.
allegories.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, on that point,
was-
like that's where that X-Men news place was like freaking out. Like, well, if you have a problem with Morph being non-binary, then you don't know what X-Men are about. And my response in tweet was like, no, then you don't know what X-Men about, because the whole allegory was basically set up in a way that you could insert whatever it was you wanted to into that allegory. It wasn't meant to have labels put on it. The moment you start putting labels on it, that's a problem. Even Bryan Singer, back with the 2000 X-Men movie, knew you couldn't do that. He said, I can relate to this because I grew up as a gay man or whatever, or bisexual man, however you want to put it. But he didn't inject that into the damn movie, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have, Biclops all of a sudden sucking off Wolverine or some shit.
Yeah, and they're going, but that's a good point, real quick, by the way. Out of the decades of X-Men history that they could tap for this show, they're already putting the Hellfire Gala in here, which tells me immediately what they're going to do with this. They're going to go with the Krakoa story. The Krakoa shit from 2021 is the story that they're going to put in this. What a fucking joke that is.
Well, this is just the lazy nonsense where, and you're right. The from an allegory perspective, the X-Men all were non-binary. They were all gay. They represented all the outcasts without having to be specific about that. This is the lazy writing that they're doing now, where the person specifically has to be labeled as a registered outcast. It's the same bullshit that happened with Star Trek Discovery, where they're so far in the future, they would have solved these problems, right? These
Right.
social issues would not exist, but they endlessly talked about this fucking shit over and over again as if they hadn't solved it. So they didn't understand what allegory was, and they didn't understand what the original Star Trek was. That's why they had a Russian, they had the the Japanese guys, they had they had Uhura, because these problems were solved in the future. Modern writers don't understand that.
Yeah, no, because Rod didn't put
Aliens
them on
and
there
humans can marry in Star Trek.
That's the point, right? Rod, it wasn't over, the idea of, I want to make sure everybody feels like they're represented on the ship. It was like, no, I want to show how diverse the future is. It could have been anybody. It didn't have to be a Russian. He picked a Russian just because we were in the midst of the Cold War. Then you've got Spock. You've got all this stuff.
Alien,
and that's my point about the X-Men allegory is it doesn't matter if you're a black kid, an Asian kid, a crippled kid, you can relate to the X-Men, right? That was the whole point. That was what they were about. Is there was civil rights allegories there, but it wasn't necessarily about the civil rights movement. You could probably insert some gay rights allegories in there during the 80s and 90s, but that doesn't mean that they're actually about that. That's my point. Yeah.
But the anti-mutant storylines were about civil rights.
Yeah. But not every story was about civil rights.
But my point is
all they want to do now with it. That's all they want to do now is tell those kinds of stories, and it's tiring. This used to be such a good brand, and they have just ran it into the ground. I'd rather this not exist. Why is this here?
Yeah, I mean, they had the great run where they had that senator or congressman or whatever who was anti-mutant, who turned out to be a mutant, right?
They even touched on the Trask stuff and Nightcrawler and like them being brothers.
Yep. Yeah, Nightcrawler was great. So yeah, but they don't understand allegory. They don't understand how to write.
Yep.
Sad.
No, they don't understand any of that. Like
everything has to be on the nose.
You could make, let's say a Rogue. You could use her as an allegory for AIDS, right? You don't have to put a label on it, but you could definitely relate to that.
Sure.
There's all kinds of things that you can insert into here. Once you start putting labels on it, that was my whole point. And you guys are absolutely correct. That's where Star Trek was always the greatest. They didn't actually have a Vietnam episode, but they went to a planet that was having a war that was similar to Vietnam. So they could play that out on regular television. That's kind of what the X-Men were. You could have similar things that were going on in the real world or had happened in the real world and other things, but you don't have to put a label on it. But on that note, they got these character breakdowns, and as you pointed out, Yellow Flash, they don't have two of the main characters in here. Plus, all of these have to do with relationships now. Everything's about relationships.
That's true. Yeah, Morph has an interesting relationship with Wolverine. Are they fucking now because they're friends? Because you can't have a close friend anymore in the world of the SJW. If you have a best friend, that means you're fucking. So him and Wolverine being buddies, that are obviously gay sexing up now, like they're gay together, because you can't just be friends in media anymore. That's not a thing.
Well,
Look at every time that they're like, oh, Bucky and Captain Rogers, they're for sure sexing.
yeah. Well, let's read a
Sick.
little bit of this because I want to actually introduce you guys to the showrunner here. Showrunner Bo DeMayo didn't need to rewatch X-Men the Animated Series when he started to work on the sequel. He binged it all during the pandemic. I don't know if there would be an MCU without the show, he says of the popular Saturday morning series, which ran from 1992. It's the grandfather of everything we see today. With memory of fresh in his mind, DeMayo went out to the desert Joshua Tree National Park and thought about the essential elements they needed to retain for the new show. The relationships between the characters, the fact that they had faced adult problems and kids in a kid's cartoon, from race to AIDS crisis, the exciting powers could be combined in cool new ways. These were key. Speaking with Empire, DeMayo, and supervising producer Jake Castoriana. I don't know if I said that right, but introduce the old new MVPs of the MCU. Now I want to introduce you to this guy and how he met Kevin Feige, because this is interesting. And our buddy Price of Reason keyed me into this, and he brought this up last night on Midnight's Edge After Dark. So this guy right here is the showrunner.
And comes back, and I'm like, okay, well, I should be professional and try to play this cool. So I was like, yeah, I'd be really interested in thinking about that. Like, yeah, let's think. And then probably got off the phone screen, cried, ran around, and then just went, came up with a pitched it to Kevin Feige, and him and Brad could not have been more just supportive and also just encouraging to make sure that we got it right. I think one of my favorite parts was like they were truly interested in like what my experience as a Black gay man was, and how it was going.
Oh, did you catch that?
Yeah.
They're more worried about his experience as a Black gay man,
which has got nothing to do with the series.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Wow. That's depressing.
Yeah. Should we still give this show the benefit of the doubt, chat?
No, I'm done.
Yeah, so the moment he came in and they found out that he was gay, well, they knew he was Black already, but they were more interested in that. I mean, I don't know if Kevin just wanted to blow
I
or
think
what,
that's
but
probably how he came in. It's like, oh, you're Black? Oh, you're gay as well? That's a twofer.
Double
Oh, you
points.
can be showrunner. Yeah, exactly. That's twice the points. So yeah, fantastic stuff.
and he goes on from there to claim that that's how they're going to make it authentic. By the way, there was a little bit more to that. But,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's how the series is going to be authentic, of course.
Yeah. So that explains why Morph is bi now, even though, or non-binary, I should say, because that's my point, was non-binary, and you brought this up too, Flash, didn't even exist back then.
No.
As a terminology.
Well,
The
there's also
closest
no
you had
such
was
thing as non-binary. Binary is on-off.
Right.
If you're non-binary, then that's off.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just, this is not what the X-Men were about. I mean, and they got Beast sounding like he's a furry gay uncle. Wolverine is a broken-hearted samurai who thinks he's an animal.
He doesn't think he's an animal. It's the stupidest
Um,
bullshit. A broken samurai, sure. I mean, but an animal, no.
He's a Canadian, damn it.
Well, he's got a lot of training in Japan.
Yeah.
It's a great
And
run.
Jubilee's got to worry about adulting.
Yeah,
If they used the
cringed when I
word
read that.
adulting, that
Yes.
yeah, that did
Oh,
they
that's
wait,
so
did I
cringe.
zoom in here?
Jubilee is
Oh,
always
no.
wants to be an adult, right? Says DeMayo. Well, it's time to start adulting. That's
Oh my god. Sorry, I just saw that. Wow.
The only one of these descriptions that doesn't have anything to do with relationships or who they're fucking or anything like that is Bishop, really, outside of Wolverine. And that's just because his actually has to do with story elements, so it sounds like in the story. But yeah, I just I was really depressed after finding a lot of this stuff out. And that's the other thing is they're trying to like play with the idea that Storm doesn't know how to be a human, but yet all of a sudden she's wearing the colors of the trans flag there.
Wait,
But anyway,
Storm doesn't know how to be a human. What?
Yeah, this is Storm's. In the comics, powerful weather mutant Storm has literally been worshipped by the people of Serengeti.
That's
For
true.
DeMeo, what's interesting is how she handles those divine expectations. Where is the room for her humanity? Where does she have the ability to be vulnerable when she has that much power?
What?
So she's not a person who has feelings too, even though she has godlike powers. But
she is a leader. I mean, but like that doesn't mean she's struggling with her humanity.
If I may, is she a queen?
They worshipped her like one.
Oh no.
Well, she's definitely a woman queen.
Oh. A woman king. Yeah.
Or woman king. I mean, yes, that's what I mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, look at the colors. Look at the colors.
That's yeah. They have to put that in everything now. By the way, they always put that flag in everything. That specific flag.
Oh, is that the trans flag?
That's the trans colors. White
colors. They always do it.
And purple. Yeah. Anyway, so the morph is the one that everybody's getting all bent out of shape about, pun intended. The death of the shapeshifter morph in the original animated series, it didn't stick, obviously, was shocking for young viewers, and it stuck with DeMeo. He really set the stakes, he says, and he had very interesting relationship with the team because of his trauma. This is a lighter take on the character who is non-binary and has an interesting buddy relationship with Wolverine. The character's past with Mr. Sinister, the show's villain, could also come into play.
Maybe he turns into Jean Grey, and then when he's with Wolverine, he forgot.
He already did that.
He forgot to change his vagina or his penis into a vagina.
Oh, that
Wolverine just rolls with it.
I don't know. Idea. Wasn't Storm like queen of Wakanda for a while too, because she was married to Black Panther, or was that?
Yeah, that's not how she started though. She married him. That's more of a recent, like not that.
Yeah, I was
recent,
gonna say that
but,
was more. Yeah,
you know, it's not the 90s, like
but that is such a racist, like Cartman thing to do, to put those two together. You know what I mean? Like, anybody else see that South Park episode where Cartman was like shipping everybody, and he was shipping everybody because they were
literally just thinking that. It's like, oh, that's really good. Here you found like two black characters. Of course, you have to mate them together. Nice going, Marvel. You're really.
There's a whole South Park episode where that's where Cartman does that shit. Yeah.
I think Storm and Bishop did have something for a minute in the 90s. I don't remember.
I was gonna say I thought I remember her having some romance before, so like there's got to be some humanity that she's
been with Wolverine too.
There you go. So
I'd rather them explore that than do Bishop and Storm.
Maybe he can go into the Olympics and win all the female events.
Wait, hold on. Does Bishop? Wait, hold on. Does like Storm and Bishop have a relationship? Then like all of a sudden Bishop is like, "Baby, I got to go out for some milk," and then he time travels.
Doesn't come back. Well, they'd have to have a baby first.
That's true. That's true. That'd be perfect though.
I'll be back. I'm just going to get some cigarettes. And then he goes back to the future. I'd rather fight Nimrod.
I want to get bottled milk, the kind that they put at the front of your porch when you open the door in the morning. That's what I want.
So needless to say, I can understand why most people would be upset.
Well, this is looking worse and worse all the time now. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Dominant, you're welcome. You should be glad that we adjust your expectations.
No, you're right.
Disappointment.
Damn, I was looking forward to this. It kind of looked okay.
Yeah, you should be grateful. Imagine how disappointed you would have been. You were just saved of that.
You're right.
Well, you weren't, but you got to like have it meted out from now until you actually see it, rather than a horrible shock when you do see it.
Well,
I'm prepared.
With Wolverine, I swear they're on a mission to make him gay.
On the comics,
Yeah,
current Marvel Krakoa era comics.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean Grey are in a 3-way relationship.
Yeah,
poly.
Yep.
Oh boy.
But they never outright say it. But the clues are all there because on the moon base where they all live, they have a conjoined room with Jean Grey. She's in the middle.
Oh boy.
So,
Yep.
and there's plenty of pictures of them like, together, like hugging up and all kinds of stuff, and
Dear
him
Lord.
flirting with Cyclops. It's very progressive.
Dear Lord.
Because that's what, X-Men fans have always wanted. The three of them in a three-way. Sure.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 AM Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.